All right, let's get into this Jimmy Butler injury. Look at the guy's face back there. And man, this looked pretty serious. We're going to look at it right here. All right, and this is a pelvis contusion. He left the game in game 2. All right, let's check this out. I just saw it. It looked pretty brutal. Let's see. All right, right here. Look at this. Look at this. It almost looks staged though. It looked brutal, but look at the guy in red. It looked like he did it on purpose, almost like he was following a script. Let's see. Okay, he kind of got knocked into him a little bit, but then let's see. It looked like that was meant to happen. Maybe it just wasn't supposed to be too hard.
Back on the floor.
Let's see this again. Looks like Draymond gives him a little push.
Keep an eye on him. That one.
I guess. I don't know why the guy would have tumbled like that into Butler, but that was Butler is kind of athletic.
Floors. Keep an eye on him.
Damn, you don't want to fall like that regardless.
That one.
Ooh, that looked hard. That didn't look good. Yeah, that's not a fun fall if you're following a script or not. That kind of sucks. Oh, Butler's got the 10 on his jersey. And he is down and out. It's amazing how much this dude looks like Michael Jordan. That's why he's always going to have some different hairstyles and bandanas and such. You're never going to see Jimmy Butler bald because it would be so obvious that there's some kind of relation to Michael Jordan that they don't want us to know about. But wow, on that injury. Okay, and so we have a 15-point win by the Rockets. And look, Golden State had 15 points right there at the time of the injury. 22-15. So Houston had a 7-point lead at that point. All right. So the Rockets end up winning by 15. And Butler, he only had 3 points. You see that right there? So he leaves. He only has 3 points. Steph Curry had 20 points. And for the Rockets, look at this. Jalen Green with 38 points. Dylan Brooks checks him with 16 points right there. So we're going to get into this breakdown. Here's Mr. Butler right here. And that's a pretty nasty fall. So it's a pelvis contusion. And look at the guy who fouled him. Amen Thompson. Right there. Was the foul. Taking a hard fall. And remember, Tatum took a hard fall as well, but he returned in that game. Celtics versus the Magic. But wow, they call that a foul? Like Draymond Green kind of tripped him up. But I guess they call a foul on Amen Thompson late in the first quarter, and he missed the rest of the Warriors' 109-94 loss to the Rockets. And this was Wednesday night, game 2. Let's put Amen Thompson, because, I come with slides, and then we look on the fly a little bit as well. All right. So I don't see anything that really pops there, but we'll take a look as we go. Okay, look, Amen, the first name, you get 15 right there. And that's the guy who fouled him. And it was a 15-point victory by the Rockets. And remember there was 15 on the scoreboard by Golden State right there at the time of the foul. Let's pull up that guy real quick. Let's see. Here he is right here. So he gets the foul. He's pretty decent. Look, 14 and 8 on the season. Almost 4 assists. That's not bad. Wow, look at his name. That's a wild name. We're going to grab that while we're here too. And let's just see. And look, he was age 22 and Houston had 22 points. So his name equals 15. His first name. Golden State had 15 at the time he fouls Butler. And he's age 22. His team had 22 points at the time of the foul. And look, dude's from Oakland, California. What a coincidence. And his team's playing the Golden State Warriors. You know, they used to play in Oakland, now what, San Francisco? All right, so that's a dude right there. I'm going to grab his full name here. Wow, that's how they list it with the nickname. Wow, I've never seen that with the initials and the name right there. That's pretty wild, but let's get rid of this right here. All right. So that's interesting. I don't know what that means, but we'll just kind of leave it at that. So let's go over here. I think we can go right over here to the breakdown now. So check this out. Look, that's his injury right there. Pelvis contusion. Look, it's right there. I just copy and pasted. You see that? Pelvis contusion. There's a lot of numbers, isn't there? And it lands on 84 just like Butler. Ooh, and he kind of landed on his butt, huh? He did, huh? So look at that, 84 pelvis contusion just like Butler. Of course, just contusion in the reverse cipher with the alphabet. Look at that. 113. The National Basketball Association 113. More importantly, the 113th day of the year was Wednesday. Isn't that amazing? And I spoke of Michael Jordan, and I mean, damn, if he doesn't look like Michael Jordan also equals 113. All right? I mean, it's all in the face, you know. Remember Michael Jordan's dad's name is James, and you can call somebody named James Jimmy, right? But damn, and that's well documented. I've talked about that plenty of times, and you know, I'm not the only decoding channel to do that. You know, they're probably gonna have children and try to cover it up, or just blatantly lie about it, right? Because the stuff is all in the family. All right, so yeah, you get that 84 connection. That's pretty awesome right there. You know, it's not awesome that he landed on his butt and it looked like it hurt, and his name's Butler. But you get the 84 pelvis contusion, Butler 84, and then you get that 113 sync up just with contusion and the 113th day of the year and the National Basketball Association 113. And he only had 3 points because of the injury. And look, they're questioning his status for game 3. And his name is Jimmy Butler III. How about that? And again, this was Wednesday. So you see Wednesday, the 113th day of the year. Coach Steve Kerr said he wasn't sure if Butler would be available for game 3. He's scheduled to have an MRI exam Thursday. Jimmy always says he's going to be fine, Kerr said, but we have to wait to see with the MRI. So it looked like it was a realistic fall. I don't know. The guy kind of like stumbled into him. That looked kind of shady. But Butler, he did hit hard. So if he was just following, if that was just his role, I wouldn't doubt it. But he played the role well. And a lot of times you do get fake injuries. Kyrie Irving will be pulling off fake injuries a lot. I know Kevin Durant just did lately. Because if the dude gets injured, you can almost count him out. The Warriors aren't going to be nothing special in the playoffs, okay? So they'll have a lot of fake injuries. Wow, what was that? But yeah, they say Butler was injured when Thompson was pushed into his legs. Why did they call the foul on him, though? It looked like Draymond kind of tripped him up a little bit, right? Both players crashed to the court even, but he eventually got up and slowly walked to the other end of the court to shoot the free throws. If I'm hurt, dude, I'm not shooting the free throws. You know what I mean? That's just me. Right? If I'm like, I don't care, oh, team, your team. If I'm hurt, like, I'm good. I ain't gonna lie. If you're hurt, you should just leave. Look at that right there. You like that? Look at that. Isn't that cool? Jimmy Butler III leaves the game with 3 points, and he's questionable for game 3. Jimmy Butler III, just like that, in the reverse cipher, 203. The total points in the game, 203. Okay, 109 to 94. That's 203 points. That's like 23. And don't forget, Butler used to wear the 23 on his jersey. Okay, he's been with at least a handful of teams now, right? Check that out. You like that right there? This is how I do it, y'all, with math. You see 109 to 94? I make the 94 100, and then I just minus 6 in my head. So 209 minus 6 is 203. Okay? And isn't that amazing? His full name, 203, just like the total points in the game. That's freaking awesome. Even Houston Rockets equals 203, y'all. And that's ABC 123. Check that out. Isn't that, that's amazing. The player gets injured. He's highlighted in the story. His name equals 203. The total points is 203. The losing opponent in the language, 203. It's just ABC 123 right there. It's the only ciphers I use, okay? Even Houston's got 112 like Chicago Bulls. And I'm just saying that because I can't get over how much Jimmy Butler looks like Michael Jordan, right? But yeah, Chicago Bulls even has that 112 to connect with MJ. And you know MJ's born in Brooklyn, and Brooklyn equals 112. If you didn't know, now you know. And there's so many 203s, 230s, 23s obviously connected with Michael Jordan. He even retired in the year 2003, right? And I think Washington Wizards equals 230 if I'm not mistaken. It's 230 or 203. I think it's 230. I can't remember if it's Washington Wizards or if it's just Washington. I think it's Washington Wizards. If I head over to the calculator, I'll check it out. But it's something like that. And of course, Butler's upcoming birthday has 23. Date numerology, okay? And look, his birthday is even September 14, 9/14. 9 plus 14 is 23. Okay? To go with all of that. Now I want you to notice how his team, they fall by 15 points here. Right? And the Butler injury is going to make it believable, okay? Like, oh, they lost because he got injured, right? So, maybe we can expect the Rockets to pull out the series now. But you never know. But look at the 94 for Golden State right there. Jimmy Butler equals 49 and 149. And if you didn't know, now you know. His birthday, the 14th day of the 9th month, 149. So his birthday, 149. Jimmy Butler in reverse, 149. In reduction, 49. Reverse the 49. His team lands on 94 points. And we still have Easter energy. And I don't know how many breakdowns in a row now. But look, Easter equals 94. You see that? And look, Easter's got that 23, y'all. Look at that right there. And if you didn't know, Easter also has that 68 like basketball. You see that? Easter's got that 68 like basketball right there. You know, for real. I'm still up for a Gematrinator challenge. I don't know how buried I am in the algorithm, but I'll battle anybody at a Gematrinator challenge. You know, it sounds kind of nerdy or whatever, but bring it on, because I do this every day and I do it a lot, and I still work a regular job. So I don't really care how it comes off. And I say that because you get some decoders out there and, you know, they're real cocky with it and they're really not that good. You know what I'm saying? I really have a skill for this. So my videos used to come across other decoders at the top, used to come across their algorithm. I don't know what happened. I would forget about me too if I was them. But anyways, that challenge is still out there. We can have a typing challenge. I mean, it doesn't matter. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't matter. Like, we can do this. You see that right there? I mean, we can do this. Don't forget, the National Basketball Association has the 202 like 22, and basketball has that 22. Don't forget that. But anyways, back over here. I watch other decoders and I respect other decoders. But the only one I'm aligned with straight up is Richard West, because we're on the same page and he's a real person. And we have a similar style in our decoding, right? So I favor Richard West, you know, and anytime I say things like that, I'm always looking at Richard West. We're on the same side, you know, and what I say doesn't reflect on Richard West anyways. But anyways, look at that's awesome, isn't it? The name equals the birthday. You get the 49s, you get the 94. Easter, which was just last Sunday. It seems like every breakdown, there's numbers connecting to Easter right around Easter Sunday, right? And of course, this game 20 weeks and 4 days before Jimmy Butler's birthday. In between the two dates, 20 weeks and 3 days. Isn't that awesome? 203. Remember Houston Rockets 203, the total score of the game. 203. Jimmy Butler's name, Jimmy Butler the third, 203. Right? Used to wear the 23 on the jersey, 23 date numerology on the birthday, and again 9 plus 14 is 23. Simply amazing, right? Isn't that? That is awesome, man. 20 weeks and 3 days between the two dates. I like to utilize that in decodes. If it obviously we got all these 203s. So I don't mind doing that. That's okay. Dude, did I say the game was on the 23rd? No, I didn't. The game is on the 23rd of April, and that was Wednesday. Okay? That's freaking awesome, man. Even Houston Rockets has 175 and 76 like Jimmy Butler the third. And you see all four of the base ciphers being utilized right there. How cool is that? And don't forget Michael Jordan equals 76. Okay? And his last game in the NBA was against the 76ers. Don't forget that. So nice, right? And a nasty fall. Oh yeah, I was going to do this. Let's go over here real quick. I think it was Washington Wizards. Remember Jordan ended his career on the Washington Wizards. And look, Washington's got that 49 even. You see that? But Washington Wizards, you see 230 like 23. And don't forget Jordan retired. Ooh, Washington Wizards has that 94 also. Damn, that's amazing because you're going to see the Jimmy Butler numbers with Michael Jordan because I truly believe deep down that they're related. Look, even W is the 23rd letter of the alphabet. Wow. God damn, that's awesome. That is awesome. And we get that 94. I swear we saw that 229 somewhere even. Maybe not. But that's pretty damn cool. Yeah, so there's so many connections with MJ and Jimmy Butler as they look identical. Michael Jordan, Jimmy Butler side by side. Like for real, man. God. Yeah, and you're never gonna truly see Butler bald unless it's some AI because they want you to distract away from the face. You understand? That's why they'll put him with like girl hair and they'll do all this weird stuff with his hair and they'll throw a bandana on him. You know what I'm saying? Right? But look at the face. It's just undeniable, man. Completely undeniable. And I guess maybe you have to be a part of both generations to see it or to care. I don't know. But yeah, you know what I'm saying? You know what I mean? So Kerr doesn't believe that Thompson intended to hurt Butler. I don't think so either. I mean, it looked like he jumped into him after Draymond tripped him, which kind of looked sketchy. But it was they did good on this one because Butler is athletic, but he took a brutal fall there. And again, he only had 3 points and 2 rebounds before leaving. He had 25.7 rebounds and 6 assists in the game one win by Golden State. So I think the Rockets are going to end up pulling this one out, to be honest. Kerr said it's way too early for him to think about what the Warriors will do if Butler can't go Saturday. They already know what's going on. Golden State's Brandon Podziemski, who sat out for much of the first half dealing with a stomach ailment, returned in the third quarter. Kerr said before the game that the starting guard was struggling with a stomach problem because of something he ate, and said afterward that he received an what the hell is that? An 4 Roman numerals 4 at halftime. What the hell is? Oh, an IV. Is that how IV's put? It doesn't look right. I guess that's an IV at halftime. It doesn't look right like that, huh? Looks like the Roman numerals 4. But yeah, that's just how it is. So this next game is Saturday, and the series is tied at 1. Saturday the 26th here in Golden State. I didn't know Dylan Brooks went to the to the Rockets with the 16 points. Don't forget Steph Curry, 20 points. That's a pretty bad performance by the Warriors, though. I mean, it is the playoffs, but that injury didn't help them. Butler playing 8 minutes. All right, so that's going to be the breakdown, and I think it looked legitimate, but wow, man, what's up with these numbers? For real, the 203s were extremely heavy here, right? Extremely. So I appreciate y'all. There's always something that's missed. I mean, even the injury syncs up with his name and the day of the year. That's wild, dude. You know what I'm saying? Like, come on, man. Maybe he takes a real fall and they just say it's a certain injury that syncs by the numbers. I don't know, dude. It's possible to fall hard like that and not be injured also. So, I mean, a good job by Jimmy there, if that's the case. So, Golden State's Jimmy Butler leaves the game with pelvis contusion, and his status for game 3 is unknown. And that's Saturday, so they'll probably keep it unknown, right? Will Jimmy Butler play Saturday? Yeah, they're not going to let us know yet. No structural damage confirmed. MRI revealed deep glute bruise that will be managed on a constant basis in lead up to Saturday. They ain't going to spill the beans this soon. A source described his status as a true questionable, and they're saying a deep glute bruise is what they're saying. Deep glute bruise. Glute bruise, you get that 49, and you get that 68 that's been landing as well. But yeah, nothing too major. If that was 149, that would be amazing. That would be Butler's birthday again, and his name equals 149. So I'll leave it at that. You know, it looked like a definitely a hard fall. This is Daily Decodes 812. Until next time.